French brand Renault makes no secret of its plan to grow its presence in Australia, and new launches like the Kadjar small SUV are important pieces of that puzzle. This car is a natural rival to hot sellers like the Mitsubishi ASX, Honda HR-V, and of course the closely related Nissan Qashqai. We're here at the local launch, so let's check it out. Now, those of you that keep a close eye on the automotive industry will know that this car was actually launched in Europe in 2015. But at that time, Renault Australia decided it didn't have a place for it in its local lineup. However, a midlife update to the car and a new management team at Renault Australia, and here we are, the car has launched. I think it's pretty good looking by class standards actually. You've got this classic Renault grille with the big dominant logo here. It's all about curves down the side. Renault's design team is really big on curves. So nice big haunches there, relatively clean sheet metal. It's a pretty nice looking thing with a good silhouette. You can definitely see its relation to the Nissan Qashqai in its proportions. I also love those alloy wheels. If style is your thing, I reckon this is one small SUV that should be on your shortlist. Let's check out the interior. Renault is launching the Spanish-made Kadjar with 3 specification levels. The entry point is the $29,990 Life. That's about on par with a Qashqai ST or Kia Seltos Sport. It's also $1,000 cheaper than the larger base Koleos Life. From there, it's a $3,000 jump to the mid-range Kadjar Zen, while the flagship Intense costs $37,990, the same as a Qashqai TI. These are all list prices before on-road taxes and charges. The running costs are further improved thanks to a 5-year annual cap price servicing plan with long 30,000 kilometre intervals and a roadside assist for 5 years. All models come standard with City Speed AEB without pedestrian or cyclist detection yet, rear view camera, cruise control, parking sensors at both ends, dusk sensing headlights and rain sensing wipers, LED daytime running lights, climate control, digital instruments, a 7-inch touchscreen with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and alloy wheels. The Zen above this adds features including blind spot monitoring, a lane departure warning system, push button start and proximity key, nicer cloth seat trim, sat nav, rear seat USB points and air vents, and roof rails. And finally, the flagship Intense adds extras like LED headlights, auto park assist, heated leather seats, an upgraded Bose audio system, 19-inch wheels with Michelin Pilot Sport tyres, and a panoramic glass roof. The interior is frankly a little bit plain, but generally well made and ergonomic. The seat bases extend, the steering wheel has plenty of reach and rake adjustment, and the driving position is a little higher than a typical small hatchback. There are also plentiful storage areas along the transmission tunnel and room for a 1.5 litre bottle in the doors. The 7-inch touchscreen system is relatively good, not the largest or with the slickest user interface, but the fact you get phone mirroring makes it pretty usable indeed. It's a bit of a shame that the larger portrait screen from the Koleos doesn't fit on this dashboard, but it's by no means disgraced in the segment. The back seats are above average for the segment too, with ample space for a pair of 190cm plus adults, though the Intense's glass roof does dent headroom just a little bit. But the fact that you get USB points and air vents in the rear, as well as sizable storage bins, makes it pretty family friendly for the class. The 408 litre boot is nearly as big as a larger SUV such as the Mazda CX-5, and certainly more spacious than a number of this car's small SUV competitors. And clever levers flip these back seats downwards to expand the storage space further. There's a 2-level loading floor under which sits a temporary space-saving spare wheel. So all told, a pretty flexible and family-friendly interior indeed. So, provided you temper your expectations and understand this is a city-focused crossover SUV, it's actually pretty good to drive. It's got a really nice, sweet little engine. It's a 1.3 litre turbo petrol with 260 Newton meters of torque, which means it feels quite effortless and responsive, really good for overtaking, and really refined. Interestingly enough, it's actually an engine that is shared with the Mercedes-Benz A-Class. Renault and Mercedes-Benz have a deal to share parts across various vehicles. And a big tick to it, it's quite efficient as well, 6.3 litres every 100 k's. So for the class standards, it doesn't use much fuel, and it's also got a petrol particulate filter to make it even greener. It's matched with a new generation dual clutch automatic transmission, and unlike previous Renault dual clutches, it's actually quite clever, it's quite refined, it doesn't sort of jerk and get confused around town. It's much smoother and more responsive than perhaps we've been used to in previous incarnations. In terms of the way that it rides and handles, again, relatively inoffensive. The steering's light, not a lot of feel, but nice and easy to twirl around town. The body control and ride quality is pretty good, stays nice and flat through corners, nice and controlled. Now this Intense version has 19-inch alloy wheels with thinner sidewall tyres, which means that you do feel some of the road bumps a little more than you do on the lower grade cars with their 17-inch wheels. Depending on spec, you get good quality Continental or Michelin rubber, so that's a real tick in terms of noise suppression and in terms of ride and handling and grip. Not too many complaints then from behind the wheel, though I will make one point, which is they've fitted this really annoying squeaky plastic. Can you hear that? On the transmission tunnel. So if you hit your knee on it through corners, it really dims the refinement, because otherwise the quality inside here is really good. Fairly baffling decision that. But other than that, I can't find too much to gripe about. And I think that line really applies to the car in general. Renault's biggest battle is going to be convincing people to give them a crack. There's so many cars out there that are better known, be it the ASX or the Qashqai or the Kona. There's a long list. Kia's new Seltos is another example. But if you can actually convince yourself to go into a Renault dealer and kick the tyres, I think this car has a lot going for it. It's nice and practical in the rear, big boot, relatively resolved, if slightly bland interior, plenty of features, decent ride and handling, nice engine, good looking. A lot to like, so big tick from Renault. Of course, we'll spend more time in it soon when we get one in our garage, and we'll probably put it through a couple of comparison tests to be sure. But on first impressions, pretty impressive car. As always, head over to CarAdvice.com, check out the written component of this review for more information, and let us know what you think.